You're all probably already familiar with the meme that Gaster is a pirate now. It's literally everywhere. It originated from the idea that normal NPC repeats words they heard like a parrot. And pirates stereotypically have parrots, so it grew from there. Also, there was a pirate dojo in Castletown and the whole lakeside story became pretty weird. So naturally, as a Deltarune YouTuber, I thought of something stupid and decided to drop everything and make it. In this video, I'll analyze if the Gaster pirates would be able to conquer the Grand Line and find the One Piece. That's right, we'll look at how this crew could operate and how strong could it possibly be. Because I've been thinking about it as a daily One Piece watcher, and I would unironically love to see such a crew having adventures on my screen. I'm obviously gonna simplify some things as it's just a fun video. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more amazing Deltarune videos like this one, since I make a lot of them. Also check out all the amazing artists whose work I featured in this video, they're linked in the description as always. And let's set sail! First thing we gotta establish is who would even sail with Gaster. According to the community, he would have 6 or 7 crewmates. I'm not trying to make jokes, I swear. Those being of course normal NPC who got really popular because of their love of seafood, Friend who is a hunting cat as we now know, and who's been the face of many theories throughout the years, ERAM who is a demon from the shelter that also broke the 4th wall via the chapter 5 ARG, the vessel who we create in the depths at the beginning of the game, the knight because they're also related to the depths, Aqua because why the fuck not I guess, and ROUXLS card, sometimes. That's what I meant with the whole 6-7 thing. They sometimes get dragged into the crew because of their pirate segment in chapter 2, but it's not consistent. I'd like to include them however because I rarely have the opportunity to talk about rules. So with that out of the way, let's talk about the possibilities and abilities of all of those crewmates. Let's go in the same order. Gaster's main ability definitely has to be his intellect. I don't think he'd be that great at combat, but he definitely would have a loyal crew. What we know about Gaster however is that he's a monster, or at least he used to be. Monsters in Deltarune can use magic, and perfecting that could make him pretty tough. But if he wouldn't be in his monster form, I suppose he could be the voice shattered across time and space with probably an unimaginable form. I view the ability to travel across time and space as pretty strong actually, so the Gaster Pirates would definitely have a pretty good contender for the King of the Pirates as their captain. Next up we have normal NPC. We know they murdered Onion-san in cold blood, so they're definitely stronger than a regular monster. They're also probably capable of timeline travel and maybe even teleportation if they're a goner. You know, Clam Girl also turned into a gunner randomly, so who knows, maybe normal NPC can do that as well. Friend is a hunter. We haven't seen their full abilities yet, but we know that they bite very hard. And some people would do anything to get away from them. That probably means they're stronger than anyone we have faced up to this point in Deltarune. They also seem to be able to blend in with objects and backgrounds and become invisible, which is one hell of an ability. Now ERAM has to be even stronger than that. We know they can shoot many projectiles, light themselves on fire, drop bombs and spawn friends. Yes, the friends that everyone is afraid of in Deltarune. The knight is obviously tough as hell, we've seen it. They're so strong that even Ralze, Suzy and Chris combined have a hard time lowering their HP to 50% and then get knocked out in one hit when the knight uses its famous slash. Their power is also above anyone else's in Deltarune. The vessel is hard to calculate since we just made the body for it, but considering it is a blank vessel for the soul, if it had a soul it could probably match Frisk's power, and anyone that played Undertale knows what that means. It would take a couple of kills to make the vessel strong already, but outside of being strong in combat, it wouldn't have any unique superpowers. Aqua doesn't strike me as a good fighter, she's definitely not as strong as ERAM, Friend and the Knight, but I think she wouldn't be that terrible to have around. She's really good with knives after all, and I died at the Chris Aqua 1v1, not gonna lie. And finally, the Usopp of the crew, ROUXLS card. His biggest disadvantage would probably be how naive he is. He really isn't that terrible when it comes to fighting, especially since he has the ROUXLS card that can make the enemies unable to hit him. That's such a useful ability. So yeah, in summary, Gaster would have a very strong crew. No wonder since he carries the D. If you know anything about One Piece, you know that Monkey D. Luffy is not called Monkey D. Luffy for nothing. The D initial is an inherited will of the clan of D. It's pretty complicated, but in general it's said that those who carry it are regularly involved in world-shaking events, they possess charisma that gains them many allies during their voyage, and they are never afraid of death. The previous king of the pirates, Goldie Roger, famously carried the D initial. I might have explained it poorly as I am nearing the timescape in One Piece, but that's generally how I understand it from all the research I did. Going back to Deltarune, Gaster's full name is obviously W.D. Gaster. That means he would also be part of the clan of D, which makes him destined for greatness on the seas. Since we know who the Gaster pirates are now and what abilities they possess, let's talk about the roles they'd fill in the crew. To get to LAUGHTALE and find the One Piece, piece, you can't just have a strong crew. The crew also needs to have skilled people in different fields: medicine, navigation, gastronomy, shipbuilding, and someone that can read poneglyphs. Let's base our crew on the Straw Hat crew and the roles that the Straw Hats have, because even though there are just 10 people right now, they don't need anyone more to find the One Piece. Gaster would obviously be the captain, but I can also see him as the archaeologist of the crew. Since he knows wingdings, who knows? He'd probably be the best bet for the crew to read the poneglyphs. I think the knight could be the swordsman of the crew, looking at how it fights using a sword, and has their strongest attack tied to it. The cook would probably be normal NPC, since they killed and cooked a sea monster. I see Friend as the navigator and helmsman of the crew, judging by what Pink told us about them. They never stop chasing a target. Next roles are pretty hard to assign to anyone, those being a sniper, a shipwright, a musician, and a doctor. I guess Rules can be the ship's musician, since we know he has a theme that makes him somewhat tied to music. I think Aqua could be the sniper. She's pretty good at throwing knives, rarely misses the target unless it dodges, so it fits. The vessel could probably be anything the soul inside it wants to be. So if the soul was a shipwright, it could be a shipwright, and if it was a doctor, it could be a doctor. I'd say a shipwright feels more like it, since it's just a vessel. Physical work seems more fit for it than mental work. But would ERAM be a good doctor? I don't think so. Nobody in the Gaster crew would be one. Well, you could argue Gaster could be a doctor, but he is a doctor by title. You know, he probably has a monster PhD. He doesn't know shit about medicine, if I had to guess. Maybe a bit. I don't know, you decide. But that's in my opinion the biggest weakness the Gaster pirates would have to face. I think ERAM'S role could be being the left hand of the captain. You know how in One Piece many captains have like a left hand man and a right hand man, who are their strongest crew members? Luffy has Sanji and Zoro, Roger had Rayleigh and Gaban, Shanks has Beckman, and yeah, he doesn't have a left hand. So I think Gaster's right hand man would be the knight, and the left hand man would be ERAM, as they're probably the strongest from the crew. So could they actually do it? Could the Gaster pirates reach LAUGHTALE? To reach it, you have to have insane strength, a loyal crew that mastered many skills I mentioned, and read or wrote poneglyphs. I think if Gaster's crew was serious about finding the One Piece, they could definitely become a huge problem for the world government looking at their abilities alone. A man shattered across time and space, a killer cook, a relentless hunter, a demon, a vessel getting stronger with each kill, a Zoro, an Aqua, a rules card. You know what I mean? If they hit Haki, they would be low-key unstoppable, unless faced with unmovable plot armor of the Straw Hats. Especially since their base strength is insane enough. I choose to believe Gaster's crew would be loyal, especially with how many followers he has in Undertale, and we already said that Gaster could probably, maybe, in a way, somehow read the poneglyphs, maybe. That and not having a skilled doctor are really my only worries. Other than that, the new world should shake in fear. I really wonder what bounties they would have. If you want to, you can come up with their bounties in the comments, that could be fun. It was a rather silly video, since obviously Gaster probably doesn't own a pirate ship, but I still really enjoyed talking about this concept. I didn't want to make it very serious to not get into power scaling, but I hope you enjoyed it regardless because I tried to craft something solid. Next week I'll upload a serious theory about ERAM'S identity, which I think I finally figured out after many years. Actually after just a year. So yeah, make sure to sub for that, as I'm really proud of it and want as many people as possible to see it. I also have many more Deltron videos on the horizon, so I'm sure you won't regret staying with me for a while. If you want, you can also like the video or support me via super thanks or memberships. I do really appreciate that. Until the next one, and...